Well, there was this couple, and they had been married for many years and had a deep, strong love for one another. But for many, many years, they had lived their marriage right on the edge of disappointment and sadness. Because for years, they had desperately wanted to have children, but were simply unable to do so. And as the years went on, they gave up even dreaming about the possibility of having a child. But one day, lo and behold, the woman discovered that she was pregnant. At first, the couple didn't dare believe this was true because they had been disappointed so often in the past. But it was true. And after 9 months of great anticipation, the woman went into labor. They went into the hospital, and she gave birth to a very healthy baby boy. After 2 days of great expenses in the hospital, they took the baby home to a quiet celebration. They decided not to make too much of a fuss too soon. The baby's first year, of course, passed very rapidly, as first years do. And as his first birthday approached, the couple decided that now was the time to make a major fuss. So they planned this elaborate birthday celebration. And they sent out announcements and invitations to lots of people. All of those folks who had ever grieved with them over their inability to have children, and the folks who had rejoiced with them over the birth of this boy. And when it came time for the party, it became very obvious that the guest list was extremely varied. Of course, both sets of grandparents showed up. One, a very sophisticated suburban couple from Brookfield. And the other set of grandparents was from the UP. The woman's doctor, the baby's doctor, both showed up in their respective Mercedes with their respective spouses. The guy who did the yard work for this couple showed up in his beat-up old blue Ford pickup truck. He had crafted a swing for the baby, a swing that he was very excited to hang from a big oak tree in the backyard. The checkout gal from the Pick and Save showed up. She'd been praying for this child for many years. Of course, the pastor and their Sunday school class came. Their accountant, his barber, her hairdresser, the florist, all of the neighbors with their assorted children and dogs. 4 total strangers showed up for this wonderful celebration. And at just the right time in the afternoon, they all gathered in the shade of that gigantic oak tree in the backyard, and they stood holding hands in a large circle, and they put the baby on the finely trimmed grass in the middle of the mall, and they started singing birthday songs to this boy. And then they released the child. And he frantically crawled across the grass and buried his face in a large chocolate cake, which had been baked expressly for that purpose. It was an outstandingly wonderful celebration. Well, tonight, we're here to celebrate the birth of a long-awaited boy. Of course, this boy's birth has affected more than just a few accountants and florists. His birth has affected the entire universe. In fact, the universe has been groaning in expectation for that birth. His birth announcement, of course, reads something like this: "For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, And his name will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Tonight, we're going to do what you do at birthdays. We're going to sing and hear some birthday songs, and we're going to hear some stories. Stories about this long-awaited boy. Stories from folks whose lives were somehow or another intertwined with his birth. Stories of wonder, stories of awe, stories of cynicism, stories of sorrow, stories about the Word made flesh. And hopefully, when we leave this place tonight, it will be with a greater sense of awe at this child. So, join us as we celebrate the child. Hey, you want a room? I got rooms, count them, 10 empty rooms. You want a room? I got it. $25 for a motel room, $5 key deposit, 5 more if you want seats. Hey, pal, you want a room? Don't stand there with the door open. You're letting the flies out. What, you think $25 is expensive for a motel? Yeah, well, you should have been here 6 months ago, Jack. Yeah, everybody in town raised their prices. It was the census. Yeah, I don't understand these stupid Romans and their stupid census. Let me tell you, it sure was good for business. Yeah, you could jack up your prices with no fear. Betty at the coffee shop, she got $8 for a sandwich during the census. A ham sandwich. Yeah. I don't understand them, the Romans, but they sure made me some money. Yeah. Bethlehem, Bethlehem, Schmetlehem. Nobody comes to Bethlehem unless somebody makes them. Yeah, I wish they had a census every month. I'd retire, move to the Riviera. Yeah. I made enough during the census to put me in the black for 3 months straight. Yeah. As it is now, I'm going through my wife's change purse looking for enough money for a bagel for lunch. Yeah, I did all right. $100 a pop. That's what I got for every room during the census. Hey, get this. Every night, at least 10 people in the lobby, $20 a head, begging to put money in my hand. 5 nights, I got this couple sleeping out back in this old shed where I put my garbage and this worthless cow my wife took in trade. Yeah, they were country bumpkins, this couple. Let me tell you, they probably figured this shed was the honeymoon suite. I just charged them $75 for the shed. I could have got more. It was private, except for the cow. Yeah, but they were having a few problems, this couple. I figured, hey, do them a favor, you know, charge them $75, put a star in your crown, the whole schmear. Problems, they were having problems, the couple. They were having a few problems, marriage problems. The woman was having some female problems. She was gonna have a baby, all right? I put her in the shed. How am I supposed to know she was gonna bingo with the baby in my shed? Yeah. I mean, I gotta make money. You know what I'm... You think it's easy running a motel? It's dog eat dog, pal. Sometimes I barely make ends meet here. Get out of town. Yeah, right. Wait, let me tell him. Hey, Rachel! I gotta tell my wife this one. Rachel! You remember that couple in the shed about 5-6 months ago? Yeah, the one with a kid. Yeah, well, we got some schmo here that tells me that the word is out on the kid, that the kid is the Messiah. Hey, pal, you're dreaming. If that kid was the Messiah, my name is Caesar. Yeah. If that kid was the Messiah, I would have given them a room. Then I could advertise. Yeah. The Messiah sleeps here. Beat some mint on your pillow. No, pal, you tell me. I put that sign like that over this dump? You tell me who's gonna believe it. Yeah. You care to join me? Come, sit. You don't look familiar, but perhaps you've heard of me, huh? Eli the Cantor. No. Pity. I'm famous. I'm the cantor. In the synagogue, I chant the psalms. I'm the most famous cantor in the village. Well, I'm the only cantor in the village. Let's not get particular. The people here, they call me Rabbi Eli the Cantor. They say my singing the psalms is better than our rabbi teaching. Although with our rabbi, that's not saying much. You're not from here. Where are you from? Visiting here from Bethlehem. I know Bethlehem. I was born in Bethlehem. We're probably related. I was just in Bethlehem 2 months ago for the Census. Were you there for the... No, you weren't. Where were you born? Capernaum. Pity. Was it crazy in Capernaum? It was crazy in Bethlehem for the census. I'll tell you, it was crazy. $100 I paid for a dirty motel room in that town. $100. I would have slept outside, but I had my wife and my son, Jonathan, he's 8 years old, with me. So I know what you're thinking. I'm too old to have an 8-year-old son. Tell me about it. My first wife, God bless her, died many years ago. My second wife, God bless her, is very young. We have this boy, Jonathan, 8 years old, fine boy. He wants to be a cantor like his papa. Only problem is he can't carry a tune in a bucket. And he's a little, he can't remember, the boy. I teach him a song, 5 minutes later it's gone from his head. So I just teach him the same one over and over again. There's one song I teach him, old song of Messiah. You probably know it. Son of David, come to set us free. That's a good song. I always tell the boy, Jonathan, when Messiah comes, he will choose you to sing for him in his palace. He likes that. But anyway, we were in Bethlehem. The strangest thing happened in Bethlehem. We're in this hotel, crazy people everywhere, people in the lobby, on the floor. Finally, it gets quiet. It's the middle of the night. We get to bed. My wife and I in the bed. We make a pallet for the boy on the floor. So I wake up in the middle of the night to, well, you know, go do what old men do in the middle of the night. Yeah. But I look down, and the boy, he's gone. I worry about my wife's asleep. I go to wake up my wife. Before I wake her, I hear this this singing, beautiful singing, one voice, a cappella, boy soprano. I couldn't help myself. I followed the sound of the singing outside of this hotel, around to the back, garbage everywhere. And this shed, like a shack, full of garbage. And a burlap bag hanging for a door, a little light coming from behind the burlap. And I pulled back the bag, and there was a cow. And the very frightened-looking peasant fellow and his sweating, exhausted wife holding this baby she apparently had just given birth to. And there, in the corner, in the shadow, was my boy, singing like an angel. Son of David, come, come to set us free. Come to all the children's hearts. Chosen one, come choose me. And then he sang what I never taught him. Choose me now to sing in your palace, see. In your palace, honor you. Chosen one, come choose me. You know, the prophet says, old men will dream dreams, and young men will see visions. I think for me, for this old man, there will yet be visions. Well, let's see here. I guess I was like, I guess I was like 9 years old at the time, and I can't be right because I'm like 40-something now, so I must have been like 10 years old at the time. Yeah, I reckon I was like 10 years old at the time, and he's the biggest fella I ever seen in my life. I mean, he's probably like 6'3", 6'4". I bet you he weighed 250 pounds. And he's the first black fella I ever seen in my life. I mean, so, you know, naturally, I mean, shoot fire, I'm getting all ahead of myself here. My wife, she tell me I can't tell a story worth a flip. I get the front and the back, or the back in the front, and let me start over here, all right? All right, I was like 10 years old at the time. And I was apprenticed to this old boy, his name was Joe, and he's a cabinet maker there. My mama, she figured out pretty quick, you know, that I wasn't gonna make no scholar, and
So she figured she better get me hooked up with somebody so I could learn an honest trade. So she got me hooked up with this boy. His name was Joe, and he knew in town. He's married. He's married to this woman named Myrrh, and they had him a little sniveler. Sniveler's name was Jesus, but everybody called him Josh. You know, he like a year or two old. You know, he's a little ankle biter, and well, I like working for Joe. He's a real nice fella. They had him a rental house there, and then they had him a shop out there in the back. I reckon that's why he don't rent it, because it had him a little building out there in the back where he could do his woodworking. But in between the shop and the house there, they had this big old oak tree there, and lots of time when it was hot, Joe, he'd be out there working under the shade of that oak tree where he could catch a breeze, you know, and lots of time, Myrrh, she'd be sitting out there in the shade. She had this ladder back chair, you know, made her. She liked that thing. So she'd be sitting in that chair there, and he'd be working. They'd be shooting the breeze, you know. And Josh, he's usually playing down there in the dirt there by Myrrh's feet. He had these two big old wooden spoons that Joe done carved him. He liked to play with them things, Josh did. And I was usually, you know, kind of running around holding up the end of a board or something. So anyway, on this particular day I'm trying to tell y'all about here, Joe, he done made this stool for this fella, and he told me to deliver it to him. So I done it, and it was getting on there about lunchtime, so I figured I probably ought to just stop on by the house there, you know, see what my mama had, and so she fed me. I was sitting there eating, you know, some pita bread and hummus, and I must have kind of been lollygaggling around there, because my mama, after a while, she shooed me out the door. She says, "You better get on back to work there, boy. You're going to be late, and Joe, he ain't going to be too happy with you." So I took off running there back to Joe's shop there. The shop there is kind of up on this little rise, see? So I was down at the bottom of the hill, and I was running up there. I could see him up there. Joe, he's in the shaded oak tree, and Myrrh, she's sitting there in the ladder back chair, but he wasn't working. He's standing there, right there in back there. He got his hand right there on her shoulder. And Josh, he's down there in the dirt like he always was, you know, playing, and I wasn't. And then there's these three people. They was squatting down there in the dirt, right there in front of Myrrh. Well, I wasn't thinking nothing about it. I was working on my apologizing speech, is what I was doing. So I got up there, and I run up there, and the first thing I did was I just looked right into Joe. My mama, she always told me, "You're going to apologize, you look him right in the eye." So I done it. I mean, I was like 3 sentences into my apologizing to Joe when I figured out something. He wasn't listening to me. They weren't even looking at me. He and Myrrh, they was both sitting there, they just staring at Josh. He's playing in the dirt there. Well, that's when I looked down there, and then I kind of looked over to see who the neighbors was that was there for a bit. They weren't neighbors. They were strangers, and I'm going to tell y'all something. They were dressed funny. And right about then is when the black fella, the one I'm trying to tell y'all about, he done stood up. And I'm going to tell y'all something. He is big. And he looked down at me. I'm going to tell y'all, it's like the sun was behind the clouds. I mean, he's mean looking. He's looking down there at me, and I look up at him. I said, the first thing come out of my head, I said to him, I said, "Mister, are you God? And are you going to kill me?" He didn't say nothing. He just looked at me. And I figured, well, he is, and he is. And then it's like the sun done come out from behind the clouds, and he breaks out in his big old smile. He's looking down at me. With one hand, that black fella, he reached down there, And he picked me up with one hand, and he held me right up next to, I could smell him. He smelled good, too. He smelled like Old Spice. And then that black fella, he said to me, he said, no, boy, I'm going to tell y'all something, too. He don't talk normal. He talk really funny. He said to me, he said, looking right at me, he says, smiling ear to ear, he said, no, boy, I am not God, and I would not harm a hair of your head. And everybody's kind of laughing, you know, and I was kind of smiling, you know. And then he kind of turns to me like that, and he points down with his other hand down there to Josh. He said, now, you look down there, boy. Right there is God. I looked down there, and it was just Josh playing with them wooden spoons. Well, I figured it must be some kind of growed-up joke, you know, so I was kind of laughing along with him just to let him know I was in on it, you know. And then the next time I look at that black fella, it's like the sun done gone behind the clouds again. Except this time he weren't just serious. It's like he's scared or something. And he's looking down there at Josh. I'm going to tell y'all something. He's looking down there at Josh like there's like a spider, you know, or a scorpion or snake or something, fixing to crawl up there and just bite Josh on the ankle. And that big old black fella, as big as he was, he couldn't do nary thing about it. And then he kind of sets me down like he don't even know he got me no more, you know. And he kind of says under his breath real quiet, like he's saying it to himself. He says, yes, sir, boy, I think that there's God. And then his two buddies, they both stood up, and all three of them dropped something right down there in front of Myrrh. All three of them just turned around and walked off without saying nary another word. I watched them go. And Josh, he just kept playing with them wooden spoons.
O come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel, that mourns in lonely exile here, until the Son of God appear.
Benjamin, I hope you're going to be plenty warm, boy. You know, I remember when you was just a baby, just newborn. I remember how tiny you were. I was afraid to pick you up. I was afraid I might break you or something. But I remember thinking you must be really cold, so I picked you up real ginger and wrapped you in a blanket and I held you real close to me and kept you warm. I figured that's what your mama would do. You was a good baby, Benjamin. You hardly cried at all, and you had them bright eyes. I remember thinking when you growed up, boy, you were really going to be something. Poem writer, maybe, a song maker like old King David. And you're going to be able to read things and understand. Understand things. But now it's time to let you go, boy. I gotta let you go on now. There's just a whole lot of meanness in the world, Benjamin. And I don't know why they done it. I asked everybody I saw, and nobody could tell me. I asked them, I said, why'd them soldiers kill all our babies? Nobody could tell me. And I even asked God. And I asked him real polite too, Benjamin. I said, God, why you let them soldiers kill my boy? You let his mama die when he was born. Ain't that enough? That's all I can take. Why you let them kill my boy? I asked him real polite, Benjamin. You know what God told me? Nothing. He didn't tell me nothing. Well, I'm going to tell you something, God. You don't know what it's like. You got to stand there and watch some soldier run a sword through your boy, and you can't do nothing about it. You don't know what that's like. You just sit up there and you don't do nothing. You don't know. I'm going to tell you something, God. I ain't much. I'm just one little ignorant Jew. But I'm going to tell you something, God. Someday, if I had my way, someday you would pay for this. Someday you'd pay. There. I had my say. Now I'm gonna go bury my boy. It's time we had us a little talk, boy. It's time for me to give you a name. Now, I got told that I'm supposed to call you Yeshua, Emmanuel, God with us. You like that name? Well, that's the name the angel told me to give you, boy. I'm not arguing with an angel. All right? So, you got you a name. Yeshua. Sure seems like a big old name for such a little guy. You know what I can't figure out, boy? Who in the world are you? That some angel shows up to tell me about you, huh? How am I supposed to hold you anyway? You know what that angel told me, boy? He said the child in Mary's from the Holy Spirit. What in the world is that supposed to mean? I got to tell you something. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, son. I didn't have a whole lot of time to get ready for you. You know that, don't you? I mean, I had 9 months to learn how to be a husband and a daddy. And a daddy to somebody else's boy at that. Okay, listen. I'm going to tell this one time to you, and then I promise I will never bring it up again, okay? I did not want you. did not want you at all. I was so mad that your mama was having somebody else's baby. I was so mad. But now that you're here, boy, what am I going to do but love you? I mean, look at you. You look just like your mama. You got her eyes. You got a little turned up nose. You are the spitting image of that woman, boy. You know what I can't figure out is, what image do you have from your daddy? I don't know. I don't know what he looks like. Why don't you just talk to me? I guess that'll come, huh? You stuck with me for a daddy. You know that, don't you? Oh, it's not going to be so bad. Look, I tell you what. I promise you I will put a better roof over your head than what we got in there. I'm going to put 3 squares a day on the table for you. I'll teach you everything I know. I'll teach you how to use a plumb line. I'll teach you how to fish. I'll teach you how to miter a good joint, how to use a saw without cutting off your finger. I'll teach you everything I know about women. I'll take 5 minutes. I'll teach you how to love your mama, boy. And I'll teach you how to love your daddy. Oh, you're a fine boy. Thanks for picking me as your daddy. Well, it's not good here, gushy here. Better get back in there to your mama. She's probably gonna wear me out for taking you out in the cold like this. Maybe she'll sing you a lullaby, huh?
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning, and the Word became flesh and lived for a while among us. The only begotten Son of the Father, full of grace and truth. And the people who lived in darkness have seen a great light. Those who lived on the edge of the shadow of sadness, on them has light shone. For to us a child is born. To us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders. And his name will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace.
Guess what it is? Go on, guess. You can't guess, I'll tell you. It's myrrh. I got a whole Ziploc bag full of myrrh. This is the same kind of myrrh that them wise, like gold and Frankenstein and myrrh. The same kind of myrrh them wise guys brought in little baby Jesus, only they didn't have no Ziploc bag. They had a camel. I ain't got a camel. I ain't got a car or a bicycle. I got a bed in the shelter, I have the same bed every night. Unless it's cold like tonight, and then the shelter gets crowded, and then sometime a big guy, he takes my bed. He says, "You go sleep on the floor." And then I do, but it's okay because it's warm on the floor. You know where I got this, Myrrh? From Charlie. You know where Charlie got it? From the Holy Land. I think that's by Disneyland. I'm not sure. Charlie, he comes in and preaches sometime in the shelter on Tuesdays, and he brings me Reese's peanut butter cups. One time, he brought me this whole Ziploc bag of Myrrh. And I said, "What is it?" He said, "Go on, open it." And I did, and boy, did it smell good. A whole lot better than the shelter, I'll tell you what. While I smelled it, Charlie, he told me all about it. He told me that baby Jesus' mom and dad, they was in a shelter, only it smelled real bad because somebody let some cows in there. And then them white guys come and they brought baby Jesus' mom this. And she said, "What is it?" They said, "Go on, open it, smell it." And she did, and the smell of it got all in the shelter, and then it got all in baby Jesus' clothes and his hair, just like cigarette smoke, only not like cigarette smoke because it smelled good. And Charlie told me the smell of it was this smell of glory. He said Jesus had the smell of glory all over him. And then he got big and he smelled good to everybody, only not to everybody because some people didn't have good noses. I got a good nose. I like Jesus. Charlie said, "I like Jesus, then I got the smell of glory all over me too." You know what I like to do with this? Sometime, a big guy, he come in his shelter, and I say, "Jesus, did you send that big guy in here?" And he says, "Yep." And then I go up to big guy and I say, "You want to smell this?" And he says, "What is it?" I say, "Go on, open it, smell it." And he does. He says, "That smells good." And then I say, "It's myrrh." This is the same kind of myrrh them wise guys brought little baby Jesus. And then sometimes while he's smelling it, we talk about the little baby Jesus. And sometimes I give him my bed, even if he don't take it. So I'll be out in the back if you want to smell. Is this smell of glory? If you want, I'll be out there.
Sing